Okay. How's everyone doing out there? Hope everyone is doing really well. I'm back with another edition of On the Cutting Room Floor, presented by Publicity Agents. I'm the host, Tony Ray Harvey, and let's get right down into it. But I really do hope everybody's doing well. I just got done finished watching the Boston Celtics sweep the Indiana Pacers. Wow. Whew. What a defensive effort in each of those last fourth quarters, 3-game fourth quarters. I mean, Drew Holiday and the rest of those guys, when the game it's time to play in the clutch, they popped the clutch. I mean, there was some defensive clutch plays toward the end of this game, the last game, with Drew getting that steal. I mean, it's just go on and on and on. And as you know, as you see, they will be moving on to the NBA Finals, and they will play either the Dallas Mavericks or Minnesota Timberwolves. But Dallas is up 3-0. They play them again, I believe, tomorrow. So we'll see what happens, with that, because the West is the best. But right now, Dallas is dominating. But anyway, of course, I haven't spoke to you guys since the Kings season ended. I think it was the exit interviews. Was the last time I recorded a podcast. And of course, there was some things going on, coming on out of that, which is right now in play. Okay, with the Malik Monk situation, free agent situation, and Mike Brown and his contract. So really, based on the activities that happened here the last few days with Mike Brown and his discussions with the Kings for a contract extension, that's why I'm here, among everything, because the bottom line here is pay the man. Pay him. Because he has did everything that he was supposed to do up until this point. And we know you got this lame duck thing coming up here with one more guaranteed season on his current contract. And then we're seeing all these other bumping pays with these other coaches, Steve Kerr, Budenholzer. He just got a $50 million deal with Phoenix. And then there's a couple vacancies, of course, with the Lakers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know all these things come into play, but I've been here since basically 2001. I didn't start covering the Sacramento Kings consistently until 2002, and I've been covering them ever since. So I'm about to start my 23rd season coming up here. So I've been here. And let me tell you, as far as what system is out there or what I have seen, especially through that 16-year drought, I covered all of that. All of it from 2006. This is the best one. This is the best one that suits the Sacramento Kings organization. This is the best one that suits the owner, Vivek Ranadive. This is the best one that suits the city of Sacramento. Get this deal done. Because I don't know if there's a failure to communicate. Okay, I'm using a line out of a movie with back in the 1960s, Paul Newman, Cool Hand Luke, prison movie, really good movie, Academy Award movie and stuff like that. But if there's something going on with that, got to come together and iron that all out. Now I know this is what we're talking about is negotiation, because when it came up, with the Woj bomb on the X platform, there's a gulf. So there's a divide, there's a division, there seems to be a big hole there. And so we know where these things are, One person comes in, they make their presentation, the other one make their presentation, and then they go from there. So they table the talks, they done moved on. I don't know what that means. But as I said before, there's a lot of things going on out here in the NBA. This deal has to be done. Now, in the past, the Sacramento Kings have handled some bad contracts, committed to some excessive spending. And just a few years ago, they had a little financial fraud committed by a former member of their sales team. So just listen to me and where I'm going, because obviously this is not parallel to any, to Mike Brown's contract negotiations or anything like that, for his extension. But I just believe with some of the financial decisions that happened in the past few years, at least in the last 11 years with him, he's just looking at this whole thing in a different perspective. Okay, but don't get me wrong. Okay, you need to sign this man up. Get him extended. No doubt about that. But whether it's on the business side or the basketball operation, Vivek Ranadive, the owner, he has to make sure he's making some sound business decision here. I understand that. Okay, so what I'm about to say, is a cautionary tale for the Sacramento Kings, and not only for them, for the NBA as whole. So in November 2019, ESPN investigative reporter Kevin Arnovitz, he wrote an eloquent illustration about how one of the Kings' executive sales rep stole $13 million from the team while the Golden One Center was being constructed. So this is 2014, 2015, okay, when the building was coming up, at 5th and L, or was it 5th and L or 5th and J, in between there, downtown Commerce, as we know it today. Okay. I won't say his name because this person, he has kids, but he was sentenced to 7 years in federal prison in June 2019. So this dude, he cooked up an elaborate scheme around 2015, according to Kevin Arnovitz's report. And please go out and read this report. ESPN, it's online. It's a really good read. I mean, a really good read, and it details all of this. So I'm just giving as much as I can, because I don't want to go through the whole thing. And I would strongly suggest that you go out, and read about it. Everybody knows about this story. I know it's just about a few years ago and it's been talked about, probably on some programs and stuff, but that's why I'm not talking about it. So let me get back into that. Okay. He cooked up an elaborate scheme around 2015, according to this article. He set up a LLC, a limited liability company, and had to file the paperwork under the title of Sacramento Sports Partners. That was the LLC. Okay, so he was doing business with Golden One Credit Union and Kaiser Permanente. And as you know, the facility that the Kings play in is under the naming rights of Golden One Credit Union. So they get into that too. Oh, yeah. All right. So they carry the facility's name. They did a deal for 20 years for $120 million. What's that? $110 million, for 20 years for the naming rights. Okay. Kaiser Permanente, they agreed to a deal for naming rights of the Kings practice facility, 10 years, $28 million. Now, you know where I'm going with this, because at one point, the practice facility, which is now the Sacramento Kings practice facility, was named Kaiser Permanente Practice Facility. Okay, it's no longer that name. So let me get back into it. Well, dude was doing a couple backdoor deals, with Golden One Credit Union and Kaiser Permanente, and he later on Kaiser Permanente Kaiser Permanente cut a check for $4.4 million in September 2015, and Golden One Credit Union, they cut a check for $9 million to Sacramento Sports Partners without the Kings' knowledge. And that was about a year later, I'll say. So he falsified some signatures, and he falsified some signatures of some names of some people, a couple of people that still work for the Kings. And these some really good people too. One of them moved on. He went back to New York. I think he's back, working with in the NBA office. I'm not going to mention any of these people's names. When you read the articles, all that will come out if you don't know the story. Okay, and I know many of you probably are aware of it. Okay, but I'm talking about the ripoff. Okay, so this guy who stole the money, he eventually bought an $8 million house in Hermosa Beach, Southern California, and he bought another house for $3.8 million in Manhattan Beach, which is also in the Los Angeles area. Now, September 22, I had the opportunity to visit Manhattan Beach. And it's kind of like an assignment too, because I was there for, some meetings and things like that. But I really want to visit this beach because back in 1912, a black couple bought some property in Manhattan Beach, seaside. But later on in the early 1920s, Manhattan Beach, came up with, a concocted story, and they used eminent domain, and they took this property from this black couple. Okay, they were using it. They had a business for a lodge for African Americans because along these these beachside communities, African Americans couldn't go to certain areas and enjoy recreational uses like everybody else did. So that's what happened with that. Eminent domain came up, and then there was a state law passed back here in September 2020. And it gave it back to the rightful heirs, the Bruce family. They ended up selling for $20 million anyway. They settled out with Los Angeles County, and they got the money. So I just want to tell you what I know about this, because this is a beautiful area, especially at night. Because the first time I went, I was there for about 4 days in LA. The night lights, it's just extremely beautiful. They got a monument, with the Bruce family, blah, blah, blah. And I just enjoyed that piece of black history. But anyway, this guy, he bought a house there in Manhattan Beach for almost $4 million from the money that he ripped off from the Kings. So later on, as you read the story, he had moved on from the Kings, and he was hired by the Miami Heat in the summer of 2018. Okay, and he was renting out a house in Coconut Grove in South Miami. Okay, and he had bought another house in Pinecrest, another upscale neighborhood in Pine Grove, and then that's basically when the scheme unraveled. Okay, and an executive for the Sacramento Kings, I'm not mentioning any of these people's name, who worked in the HR department. Okay, been doing some clever detective work. She came across some documents that kind of, raised a red flag on this guy, and she uncovered the scheme of how he took this money. No one knew this, okay? So, and a matter of fact, she alerted the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Well, the Kings got their money back. Let me get there, okay? But as I said earlier, the practice facility is no longer in the name of Kaiser Permanente. I don't know how that came to be. Maybe, they dissolved that part of the contract, after this happened. And there it is there. But the Kings were able to recoup their money because those properties were sold and they got their money back. Matter of fact, they were sold at a higher value. But the excess money that came in from the sales, that went to like a victims fund. And the FBI is known to do that, with drug deals, when they, collect drug monies and houses and cars and things like that, so people can get some of their money back, however, when they become victimized and stuff. So none of these things have nothing to do with Mike Brown negotiation. I do want you to understand that, okay? But I can say, all right, he is trying to get to an extension that justify what he has done so far in the city for the last 2 years. He signed a 4-year, $20 million contract on May 9th, 2022. So understand that, okay? And by NBA standards today, okay, that little $5 million that he's making right now, that's minimum wage. That's minimum wage. compared to what all these other head coaches are making. And Mike has a track record. I don't have to go into all of that. And when he came in here, he turned things around in a couple years, in a couple seasons. So you have to give him that. Okay. And hey, who knows? Maybe part of his negotiation is to say, hey, look, I'm ready to do this. I definitely want to make more money, but this roster got to be fixed because I was 2 less games than I was the season before and winning. Basically with the same roster, as we know. So who knows what's going on in these negotiations? Of course, I have no idea what's going on there. No one knows, okay? And yes, they did have a really freakish season, this past season, okay, with some bad losses, et cetera, okay? But this system that Mike has put in place, okay, has given this organization a soul. One of the things he said, in his first press conference down there at Golden One Center in the press room with the local media. This organization has a soul right now, and it's going in the right directions. So that's basically what it is. I mean, on the other hand, I understand, Ronnie Dive, and he just wanted to, ensure that he's going to get his money worth. I truly do understand that. I truly do understand that. Because when you look at somebody, coming through, and ripping you off for $13 million and basically making you look bad, okay, in front of the rest of the other 29 teams in the association, you don't like that. So I have to clamp down and check out everything. I don't care if it's negotiation with the coaches, the players, okay, hiring a sales rep, got a felony, whatever, what you do at your last job, whatever, okay? Food vendors, with that money. I need to know everything that's going on. So I want to make sure that I'm making a sound financial decision right here. And that's basically what it is. Got the lights on, folks, so I'm getting a little sweaty here. Should have cut on the air before I did that, but we'll get through this. Okay, so I just want to make sure all this is right. Okay, because this is where I'm going with. He done spent a lot of money on players and coaches. There's a couple coaches that he pushed on out the door and he was still paying them for a couple seasons. Okay, let me start with Rick Adelman. Okay, Rick Adelman in 2006 did not receive a contract extension after the Kings were, what was their record? 44-38 or something like that. They were 8 in the Western Conference. They went to the playoffs. They lost in 6 games to the San Antonio Spurs. Okay. He did not get fired. Okay. I don't know where that came from, but I was there when all this was unfolding. Marty McNeil had put a story out saying what happened. This is in 2006. I think it was in April, maybe the early part of May. The deal was, he fulfilled his contract obligations. At least the Kings, the Maloofs who owned the team at the time allowed that to happen, but they were not going to re-sign him. Okay. This was signaling a lot of problems anyway, because, they had traded away Chris Webber, Doug Christie, Bobby Jackson had moved on, so did Vlade. Peja Stojakovic ended up going to New Orleans. Bobby played there for a minute too for the, what was the Hornets, now it's the Pelicans. It was just a whole bunch of stuff going on there. But the thing was, okay, and all the things that Rick Adelman did, he wasn't given a chance to get another contract. So he was not fired. He was not fired, okay? That's false. That did not happen. I went to the press conference when he told us he was done, okay? This is down to your practice facility in North Thomas, at where the old Arco Arena was, which is demolished now, but the practice facility is still there. And I remember when he came across that floor to speak to us, his lip was trembling. And right there, I knew this was it. This was the end of Rick Adelman in Sacramento. And of course, he went on and coached Minnesota Timberwolves and the Houston Rockets, from there. But he was done with the Sacramento Kings. He was not feeling good. He was not in a good space at that time. He wanted to stay here. He wanted to keep coaching. But behind the scenes, things happen financially with the Maloofs, and it worked. They were. They were taking this team apart. Okay, after they made their little run, and they did. And I have to give them Maloofs for allowing that. It was time to break it up and start all over, or whatever they were doing. They had sold a beer distribution. Hey, all types of things, as you know, were taking place after that. But yes, he was not fired. Okay, I don't know how they call it, out here in other places, stuff like that. But I mean, like, hey, if I go somewhere else and I apply for a job, and my last job saying, well, you were fired, but that wasn't the deal. You didn't resign me. My contract was up. There might be some legal issues. That's just me. Okay, but Rick Adelman, he was not fired. Okay, so that was it. And after that, it was a coaching search, and they brought in Eric Musselman. And Eric Musselman couldn't have been getting no more than about $2 million, maybe a little bit over $2 million. Okay, and that was the whole point. The Maloofs were trying to reduce their payroll with the players and the coach. And now, before I get back into it, because we had surrounded Elston Turner, who was the lead assistant coach for Adelman. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to be the next coach? That never happened either. Okay, he ended up going to Houston with Adelman and going to the Minnesota Timberwolves with Adelman. Matter of fact, he's with the Timberwolves right now. In the Western Conference playoff. Elston Turner is. Okay, but that never happened anyway. Eric Musselman, I don't think he was getting paid all that much anyway. So, he was on out the door. $2 million? Boom. He's gone. Actually, he got a DUI at the beginning of the season. And I think that kind of like, soured his relationship with the Maloofs. Then they brought in Reggie Theers. Reggie probably wasn't getting that much either. Head coach. $2 million. Approximately, probably a little over $2 million. He ended up getting fired too. Okay. One of the big reasons why Reggie wasn't, bad his first year when he was here. But one of the biggest reasons why something was going on with the Maloofs and Chuck Person, because they didn't like the way he was running the defense. At least that's what he was saying, because he was the assistant coach, handling the defense. And it could have been something more than that, but hey, they got rid of Reggie. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the interim coaches that they brought in, and there was plenty of those too. So after Reggie moved on out the door, Paul Westphal, he gets hired. Okay, he was already making like $675,000 with the Phoenix Suns as an executive there, but he wanted to get back into coaching. So, of course, he got his opportunity to interview for the Maloofs. They liked him, brought him in. I didn't think Paul Westphal was a bad coach anyway. I mean, man, he went to the NBA Finals with Kevin Johnson and Charles Barkley, and he had a good run as a player, and he had a good run as a coach. May he rest in peace. But yeah, so he wanted to get back in. He did a pretty good job too, but then later on he started having some issues and losses. And then, he was there when DeMarcus Cousins was drafted, and, those two didn't get along, and boom, 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 he's out the door. The next, Keith Smart is the interim. Okay. And I don't think he probably was getting around $3 million too when he was in there too. Okay. So, this is, 2008, 2009. Okay. So, and Keith Smart came in there, but at the time that Keith Smart came in, that's when all the stuff was going on about the teams about to relocate. Okay. So we talk about money here too. And eventually Vivek Ranadive and a group, which was the downtown Galleria Plaza, came down and said, we buying the team. And we knocking down all this, and we're going to put up a facility. Go to one center. That was next. Okay. So Mike Malone was his first coach. That's Chronicle 2. I'm not going to get it all into that either. And when Mike Malone was coach, I would say, going into his second year, he started off 9-2 with DeMarcus. And they loved him. Okay. They had Rudy Gay and DeMarcus got meningitis. That's what happened. That wasn't Sabonis either. I think I heard that from another. That wasn't him. But, I understand that. be making these type of mistakes all the time too. But that was DeMarcus Cousins, who got meningitis. The team, by the time he came back, the team was 11. No. Michael Malone gets fired, and the team is 11-9. 11-9. So that hurt them too. And something was going on with Pete D'Alessandro, who's the general manager. Pete and Michael Malone. Boom. Mike Malone's out the door. I don't know what this contract is. I didn't, go back and research that as much, but we know that story, and it was bad. And here we are today. So, and I also do want to mention the fact that Rudy Gay has spoke about this recently. When Mike Malone got fired, he had just signed a contract extension. He was on his way out the door. He did not like Sacramento, not the city. The thing, they going through, these changes with new ownership and stuff like that. He was ready to go elsewhere. Remember, he was traded here from the Memphis Grizzlies. So they bring in George Karl. They bring in George Karl after Mike Malone. And wow. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I thought that was a game time move. Award-winning move, if you ask me. And it was not the case. George Karl came here. He was sick. He should not have been coaching. I know he was doing some television work, and that's probably where he should have stayed at that time. Matter of fact, I would go far as say he's a con man. But he got a 4-year, $15 million deal. Okay? He did. At least 3 of those years was guaranteed. But, he came in February? When did he come in? George, he signed He came in February 2015. He signed a 4-year, $15 million deal at that time. By April 2016, he was out the door. So that's probably a couple of years still left on the books that Kings have to pay him. So I know Vivek learned from that. Okay? And from now on, check these guys' medical history before you bring them up in here. Oh, the doctor got to tell me you're clean bill of health. I will bring you in. I will give you what you want, because that man should not have been here. On top of his attitude, because I really do think what I did not know when he got here, he has a problem with black people. And he does. With that book he put out, some of the things I heard Rudy Gay and Kenyon Martin, who played under George when George was coaching for the Denver Nuggets, and of course, Carmelo Anthony, which he had a lot of run-ins with that guy, okay? This guy is he's a great mind. He's going to the Hall of Fame, and he should, and all that stuff like that. But when I started understanding that, and some of the things that happened here, and some of the things that were being said, it really ticks me off to this day, okay? Bigotry, that's basically what it is. And I don't care what you say, that's what it is, all right? And hey, we can pull up the receipts. We can go back. Some of the things that you said, pal. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about you. But he got a 4-year deal, $15 million. He only did about 1.25 of a season, because he was like 11-30. What was he? He was like 11-30 when he came in and took over the team for that half a season. And he didn't fare that much better, through 2016. So they bring in Dave Yeager after they fire George Karl. And this was May 9th, 2016, when they hired him. He had just got fired from the Memphis Grizzlies. He had a winning record. Okay, he doing pretty good out there, but for whatever reason, that ownership didn't. No. So they moved him on out the door. Okay, so and he was. Before he went on out the door, his last season, he won 39 games. Could have had won 40 if he had won that game up there in Portland. But it seemed like he just didn't care because he knew he wasn't going to get another contract. He was in his 3rd year, and that was basically the end of him. But that 39 was the most wins that any coach had in one season since the Rick Adelman years, at least 2006. So, and I remember He was doing pretty well with DeMarcus too. DeMarcus got traded in February 2017. Okay, while Dave Yeager was the coach, and at that time, after DeMarcus was traded to New Orleans, I remember we having a conversation with him how he felt about the whole situation. He kind of indirectly said, "Well, that kind of changed the dynamics for me. With my coaching and my contract. Okay." I didn't sign on for this, and I was doing really good with a star player. And then, later on, with the Luka Doncic thing and the Kings not drafting him, he was stewing over that too, which I understand. So by April 11th, he was gone. 2019, on out the door. But there was no money left on the table for him. He pretty much fulfilled those obligations. He was just looking for another contract, but it's because the team had a team option. So if they don't give you that team option, you're fired. Boom, you're out of here. You're out of here. So and that's basically what happened. So Luke Walton, he comes in April 2019, signed a 4-year guaranteed around $23 million. That's because he was doing well with the Golden State Warriors and he was doing well with the Los Angeles Lakers. So Vlade wanted him so bad, signed him up. He had a horrible start his first season. And there was some flashes that, at times that we just thought Luke was going to get it together. Then later on, I learned that, hey, look, I learned, hey, he didn't bring in the right people. I'm sorry, they didn't let him bring in his own people. Sorry, I got a little brain freeze there. I'm trying to get all this thought together. They didn't let him bring in his own personnel, so he had to work with people that pretty much was already there, or the Kings front office had already, Vlade had already brought in to try to win the team. So he made it to about 2 years, a year and a half, I would say. Yeah, about a year and a half. He had a 6-11 start, and he was fired November 21st, 2019. He was fired. Okay, that's when they brought in Alvin Gentry. But he still had 2 years left on that contract that was worth $11.5 million. So, got to pay for that. Okay? Where I'm getting at, folks, I'm just saying. Now Vivek has to make these sound decisions when he's doing this stuff, because I don't want to leave stuff out there hanging. And you sit down and I'm still paying for you. And then I got to pay for 2 coaches. That's how I would look at it from my perspective. Okay? Amongst everything that, was going on with, Mike Brown too. But pay Mike Brown. Pay Mike Brown. Mike Brown comes in. He signs a contract. May 9th, 2022. 4 years, $20 million. That's where we are today. Okay? He has one more guaranteed season on that contract. Now he's trying to get a bump and pay. And he should. He should. Okay, I know we got a lot of things going on. As a matter of fact, okay, yeah. In Walton's last season, Vivek Ranadivé was paying him and Mike. So that's just a little over $10 million. All right. And the reason why I say that, because hey, I know you could pay I know you could pay at least $10 million a year for Mike Brown. You might be asking for more, but at one time he was paying 2 coaches. Okay. Until the other coach contract expired, after you're fired and stuff like that. So the reason why I bring that up is you didn't done it before. You probably did it a couple times. So, all right, don't get me wrong. I talk to Vivek, from time to time. We got a great understanding. I think he's a great person. I really do. I really do. I know, the fans have a love-hate situation with him. What he's doing good, they love him. But right now, hey, it's going crazy on Twitter. But I just hope, you get this done, because you're gonna get your returns if you resign this man. Okay. And I know, hey, $13 million, How did that happen? By one person. By one person. And thanks to that human resource person in HR, who was really good about numbers and understanding invoices and contracts and tax documents, and bust that thing over, and you were able to get your money back. So I'm glad about that part. I'm really glad about that part. Please go read Kevin Arnovitz's story. It came out in November 2019, and I'll give you the summation on that. And that's where, I kind of like started off, my story here and stuff. But Mike Brown got to get paid. Outside of that, Mike Brown has to get paid. Now, I know we dealing with Monk. And there's been this rumble, well, how did Monk think about the situation with the coach? And he should. Everybody should be concerned. But they better be concerned about De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis too. Because when they finished that season, what was that? Okay, after Alvin Gentry had finished up as the interim coach, taking over from Luke Walton, and I was in Monterey Bay, but we did a Zoom press conference call with him. It was asked, and they did say, okay, Fox and Sabonis want to be in on, the coaching hiring process, meaning they wanted to give their input, which they did. You got Mike Brown. So if Mike Brown, if something happens, and Lord knows, I hope this doesn't happen, please don't let this happen. Okay, not for the fan, not for the city. Don't do it for the organization. Okay, we don't know what's going to happen with Fox. You don't know, Sabonis might ask, demand a trade. Okay, it's a professional sports, and they've been here. Well, Sabonis been here 2.5 seasons. De'Aaron have been through it all since 2017, since he was drafted here. And now they have some little bit of success. I mean, look what the development in the players, and that's what I mean, okay? You talk about the solo organization. De'Aaron should have made the all-defensive team. He was one of the top defenders in the league, okay? Double-doubles and triple-doubles left and right from DeMontis this past season. They did their job. They were improving, which even kind of made Mike's job and his coaching staff a lot easier. That's what we're talking about. Because, let me put it like this. And this is the reason why I want to do this podcast segment right here. I was listening to Deuce and Mo, okay, Deuce Mason and Morgan Reagan. And they pretty much drug it out, about these contracts with the players and stuff like that. A lot of people got paid coming through here. Okay, I remember I talked about some excessive spending on free agents. That should not have happened. Well, I ain't gonna say it shouldn't happen. It didn't work out. Let's put it like that. They did not work out. They did not work out. A couple people got traded after the first year. It seemed like people just coming here to sign big contracts, and boom, next, maybe half season later, they was traded up out of here, or they were sitting on the sidelines for a whole year. And there's nothing against Zach Randolph. He was a professional while he was here. He only played 1 year here. He had a 2-year, $25 million deal. He played the first year. He didn't play at all the second year. At all. Okay? Aaron Afalo and all them, 2 years, $25 million, out. George Hill, 3-4 years, $57 million, out. Dwayne Dedman got outplayed by Rashawn Holmes. A couple months later, traded. Big contracts, man. Okay, but this man got to get paid on the coaching side. It's a whole new ballgame. But I understand, Mr. Ronnie DB. I understand. I appreciate you, and I respect you so much. Okay, this has to be done because to get to the next level, he has to be taken care of too. Because he's doing a lot right now. For what he have. He got a great coaching staff. There's going to be some other head coaches coming up out of there. I do understand that. Okay, so whatever this divide, this gulf, we know you're going to get it worked out. And we're going to, hear from Mike here within a month or so. I know we got the 2024 NBA draft coming up next month on June 26th, 27th. And hopefully things will be, taken care of, done like that. And I understand how these things go because, man, what? You took Monty McNair, the general manager, all the way to January 2023 before you tapped out. And then you re-signed him. So I would think that would be the same situation for Mike Brown. Okay. It was a crazy season. Okay. That ended with some bad injuries. You lost Kevin Herter. You lost Malik Monk. Okay. You lost 6 times to New Orleans. Oh, we got that. Houston's, Washington Wizards, Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trailblazers. They weren't a losing team, but it was a crazy loss. They were basically depleted as far as players that were available that night. The Miami Heat, the Chicago Bulls. Yes. Okay, but I know these things happen, but that's why I was trying to get Mike to understand when I was asking the question. And anyway, I was asking him a question to get him to understand. Hey, I've been here for 22, 23 years. I've never seen anything like that. Those type of crazy losses. Now, I've seen some crazy losses. I've said a few things, not everybody else said them, stuff like that, that goes on with this team. That I had never seen. Okay. This past season. That's what I was talking about. Yes, it happened. These losses happen to, a bad team in the league and stuff. But that many in one season, okay? I do have to admit that you lost to the 2 worst teams in the league within 6 weeks. I do have to mention that. Okay, and that was the Detroit Pistons when they came here February 7th. They beat the Kings, okay, Jaden Ivey. And then you went to the district. At that time, they were the worst team in the league, okay? They kept flip-flopping Detroit Pistons and the district, Washington, the Wizards and stuff. So, but, hey, it was on a crazy road stretch anyway at that time. But I think Kings probably came back, over 500 after that loss anyway. They hadn't been doing really well with that anyway. They're a really good road team. But yeah, there has been some bad losses that had to be considered, okay? So he knows what he has to do, okay? But you finished 10 games over 500. Last year you finished, 12 games over 500. 3rd seed, okay? Went out in the first round against the world champions. And you got Coach of the Year. Monty McNair, Executive of the Year. So we know all these things are coming into play. Okay, Vivek, you have every right to make sure and hash this out to make sure that you're going to get your returns, and you will get your returns. Okay, we're looking at right now an organization. It was about 41 games, 41 home games in Doco. Okay, so the Golden One Center probably making $5 or $6 million a night. 41 games. So what's that? $240 million a year. Okay. If you're making 6 or 7, that's $87 million a year. Okay. You want to keep them seats filled. And plus you want to make sure all those other businesses around Doco or whatever, parking and all that are still happy. Want to keep these people coming to downtown Sacramento and seeing these games. Everything for the fans. Okay. But I understand, with all these money problems, $13 million. Oh my gosh. I do understand that. But I do want you to get a deal with this guy. I don't know what he's asking. I don't know what you guys, providing, but that's negotiation. I have no idea. But I do know you're watching your treasure chest and you're going to be spending money and you checking every dollar and cent that goes out the door. And that's your business. You're the owner. And I'm talking about Vivek Ranadive. I ain't attaching none of this other stuff. If you own 2% of the team, you might have a say-so, but the decision is with Vivek Ranadive. Make it happen. Cut this deal. Let's move on. Okay? Malik Monk, free agency will be coming in over a month or something like that to see if you can get something worked out and keep him here. Okay, the fans love him too. I know that with the situation with some money because the other ones got bigger treasure chests. Well, they don't have bigger treasure chests, but they have a lot more to offer financially right now as far as salary cap. That's what I mean and stuff. So let's see what happens with that, and and get that worked out. So I do want to thank you for tuning in for another episode, another edition of On the Cutting Room Floor. Once again, I'm Tony Ray Harvey, your host, and it's presented by Publicity Agents, and I am telecasting from the southwest part of Sacramento, Greenhaven Pocket Road area. Okay, so thanks for tuning in. I will be back. We'll see how this goes. It just took me a little time, to roll this one out because what a lot of you don't know, I'm a political reporter, so I'm covering the state capitol. I'm covering bills and politicians and public policy things, and on top of that, I'm a lot of stuff that affects us and changes our lives. Okay, I understand, sports is entertainment. Some people out here who cover that, they think this is everything. It's not that. Okay, this is escapism, and this is something that we love to do, and I will continue doing this for as long as I can. But on the other side, I report. I report in my heart. This is on the bigger things, but I do like to communicate. In this arena too. Don't get me wrong, but I know everybody. We all got a lifestyle that we live, but there's a little bit more that goes to this game of journalism. I don't care what anybody say. Just a little bit more. Okay, I'm not going to get on there because I'm not trying to disparage with anybody right now, but I'm just talking about me. But I do want to thank you all for tuning in and listening to this podcast. And I do want to point out that I had said earlier, okay, I was really inspired by Deuce and Mo after seeing their thing because their perspective on it, hey, I enjoyed it. So thanks for stopping, and I'll see you soon. Everyone, have a great summer, and let's see what we're going to do with this 13th pick in the 2024 draft. Peace out.